So let's look at a ransomware investigation. So say you're a SOC analyst and you have a scenario where WannaCry is detecting the endpoint. So that alert may be ingested on your NDR system, and that's endpoint detection and response. Endpoint is basically like your computer, your phone, your laptop, whatever asset that you have on your company's network. So basically, the alert name would be suspicious SMB traffic, possible ransomware behavior. Severity is high, and the description would be the endpoint HR laptop 01 attempted to connect to multiple internal systems over SMB protocol port 445 using known vulnerable SMB-v1 protocol. A high volume of files written shortly after, okay? And the file extensions was WannaCry. Now, for y'all that do not know, WannaCry was a ransomware. It was observed somewhere around May 2017, affecting over 200,000 computers in 150 countries. Now, the thing about it was able to take advantage of an exploit called EternalBlue that was discovered by the NSA. And not only that, it was able to propagate like a worm because of that. So a lot of companies use file shares where they can share documents, files, executables, etc. Right? And that way it was able to propagate because it took advantage of a vulnerable protocol. So with that being said, if you're a SOC analyst and you're observing this, your ER log usually give you a good piece of information. So it'll let you know the time, it'll let you know the path that it's running from. You'll get to see the executable name, what location. So it was in the temp folder. You get to see the domain you're on, the user, and you get the hash. So EDR usually have a lot of information for you. And you also have Sysmon logs that you can look at. And this gives you a lot of information as well. So you can see file creation. So you can see an invoice file was created. You also see that a TXT file was dropped on the desktop. And another thing too that you can see, event ID 13, you can see registry modifications, right? And a lot of times, threat actors would use registry modifications to maintain persistence. So that way, even after the computer reboots, they still have access to your system. Sometimes you'll see the networking logs, and they'll show a lot of information as well. So you get to see source IP, destination IP. You get to see the protocol that's used over TCP, SMB-445. So this is a sign that, hey, this SMB protocol is being used to reach out to other assets on the network. Then you have your intrusion detection system. It's able to understand signatures. So a lot of times the alert will come up with known exploit. So EternalBlue is the exploit, which is MS17010, and it comes up with a signature ID. Then also you'll look at your firewall logs. This shows that the host, that endpoint that we talked about initially, is reaching out to another port, which is a foreign IP address on 443. So this is what you would consider a command and control server. Sometimes you might reach out to grab some more malware, but a lot of times when you're reaching out to a foreign IP address, that's the command and control server, which is like C2 server, okay? So now we have some indicators of compromise. All right, we have network connections over port 445. We have creation of that please readme.txt. We have that invoice executable. We have the IP address, and we also have the hash value that was flagged by antivirus. So how will we write up this? So let me tell you how we'll write this up. We'll have a full timeline. We'll say we observe the executable being created in the temp directory. The main dropper and the warm module start scanning SMB-v1 around 132209. The file invoice.WannaCry was written, and then the real executable there that followed that encrypted files, and then the SMB connections reached out to other internal IP addresses. So it scans the network and exploits any other host that's running that SMB-v1, and it drops that TXT file that says, hey, I just encrypted everything, please pay me a ransom, or we're going to publish your data. And we'll go over an example of what it looks like here in a moment. Then you see that connection to the external IP. And then you have your IDS, it triggers with that EternalBlue signature. And you got those, you got multiple detections here. So a lot of times, if you're working in a security operations center and you're a cybersecurity analyst, sometimes when something like this happens, you're going to be getting a lot of alerts more than likely, especially if it's a known exploit, a known ransomware variant, right? Now, the thing about this is when you're in a security operations center, it's multiple teams. So security analysts, cybersecurity analysts, I like the front end. They'll see the alert. They can try to stop it. If it hasn't been, sometimes the EDR automatically stop it. That's why it's called endpoint detection and response, because it can automatically kill something that's suspicious. But did it already make registry modifications? What did it do before it killed? So cybersecurity analysts do a deep investigation to see, hey, can this be closed out, or do we got to go ahead and escalate? And in a case like this, where the files are already encrypted, it's already done reached multiple hosts on the network, this would be something that'll be escalated and be handled by incident response. And incident response is a whole nother beast in itself, because you got to get legal involved, you got to get forensics. You got to figure out what exactly happened, because a lot of times when information like this is encrypted, someone might buy it, and that could be customers' data, right? So you got lawsuits, you got multiple things like that. So it'll go to incident response in this case. But we're going to pivot and look at this malware a little bit closer with malware analysis in a moment.